What's up? This is Conrad from GOG, Grumpy Old Geezer Boxing, and like I promised, we're going to talk about the straight right, okay? And what we need to do to throw the straight right. Now, a couple things, caveats. I think I broke my toe stubbing it on somebody's roller skates that they left outside. There's a little somebody over there. So it looks like when I do this, if I'm if I'm throwing my jab funny, it's because it actually hurts. But anyway, we're not talking about the jab anyway. We're talking about the right hand. Now, let's talk about the right hand, and there's more mechanics to it than a lot of people think. And let's talk about, if we are in our stance, we're going to get right into it now. We're going to talk about how to throw that right hand, a committed right hand, and not only get it straight, but to get some power on it, get some pop, and also to set you up for other combinations, okay? Now, it's true, when you throw some combos, you're not necessarily gonna try to get out a straight, perfect, committed right hand, because you know, the guy might be right on you. You might be right on top of him throwing little tight combos, and okay. But we're talking right now about getting that straight, basic right hand. And where does it come from? It comes from your feet, okay? Everything really in boxing, you're not punching with your arms, you're not punching with your shoulders, you're punching, it's coming from your feet. So you're loose, right? Now we talked about the jab. Gosh, man, this is gonna drive me crazy with my toe. But we talked about the jab, right? So toe, hip, shoulder, and then bam, we pull it out. If we really want to, we can pull back with this last hand, and we're getting that real straight, bop, pop, right? And we talked about how you can practice this step drill coming right from the top of your head to make sure, right, that your arms, you're not flaring up your elbows. The same thing with this hand, with your right hand. And you'll notice, if you start here, just start touching your forehead, just to make sure that you're not dipping, because everybody when they get tired, they start dipping their hands. Start dipping. That when you do that kind of palm stripe and get your ear to your elbow, it forces you to do what? To turn this back heel out. And that's really the key to get that straight right hand, to get power and pop, is actually to make sure you're turning that back heel out, right? Now, say, well, that sounds simple, that sounds complicated, sounds weird. I've heard of the Dempsey kind of fall forward step, all that. You know what, a lot of it comes back to the same thing. But let's talk about it, let's think about it, even if we looked at kind of the Jack Dempsey fall forward type. If you're sitting here and you're throwing that right hand, and it was kind of, you read about it, you've heard about Dempsey, and you kind of fall forward, what do you naturally do? You're getting that back heel turned out. You can see it, I'll try to find it and put in a link. You can see Floyd Mayweather now, because he's talking about being a coach and teaching his nephews or these young guys, and you'll see him do a drill where they're doing drills where they're stepping forward. Gosh, man, it's going to drive me crazy. They're stepping forward doing jabs, and then they throw the right hand, and you will see Floyd's his back heel kick out. Now, what does that do? Let's talk about what that does. Well, one, when people talk about turning over your punches, but if you start trying to focus just on your hands, turning over your punches, a lot of times you'll start like tick, 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 tick. You'll turn them over too soon. It won't be natural. Whereas if you're loose, right? You're loose, bam, and you turn it over, and sometimes you'll see like Golovkin, the people from the Abel Sanchez type of school of boxing, some of the Mexican trainers, they'll make sure that they're turning their hands. They're turning their hands way out there. They'll even hold like a weight where the weight's on this end and there's nothing on that end, so they practice and it makes them turn them over. I think that's a little bit exaggerated, but okay. These guys know more than I do. But if you practice throwing that straight right and getting that heel turned out, and you can see this heel, see if you can see it turning out, you will turn over your punch. You will turn over your punch. It's just as a natural progression. You don't even have to take a step forward with your front foot. You can, and that's, this kind of the fall forward a little bit, Dempsey, bop. It's the same thing. You're turning over that back foot. Now, what does that get you when you turn over the back foot? Remember when we did way back when we talked about the stance and not getting forward and putting your weight on that front foot, that stance on the back foot? Well, let's review that real quick. I got my trusty piece of chalk. Let's say that we're in a stance, we mean a high guard stance or a more normal boxing stance, whatever, but our weight's more on our back foot, okay? If we have our weight in our front foot, this is our reach, you see, right there. I can't do much because I'm already on my front foot. I can't take a step because I'm on my front foot. If I'm on my back foot, not only if I just don't take a step and I just get extension, I can get the same reach, but I have the ability to take a step because I'm on my back foot. So bam, I take, whoops, grab that. Oh, so bam, I take a step and I'm already here. You think, wow, but what about my backhand? Because my backhand's starting from back here. Now, a lot of times as guys get older, or even if they train a lot, they start getting a little lazy. They will start kind of boxing without turning over that back foot. Now the young guys who are in the amateurs who are more on their toes, sometimes they'll throw their punches more correctly because they're on their toes. But you know, to tell you the truth, as you get older, and you're also looking for maybe feel a little more power, you don't want to be just on your toes the whole time. Some guys will fight with their back heel up. Okay, I prefer to be more like this, really more traditional. But if you're going to fight like that, you got to make sure to turn that back heel. But what happens if I turn that back heel, right? I turn that back heel and I won't even take a step. Okay, I turn that back heel out. Bam, you see? See that? Look where I am. I'm right here. I've already barely beat that reach for that jab with the step. Now I'm going to do it with a step, the same thing, and turn my heel. Look at that. Not even trying, okay? I actually have more reach with my backhand than with my front hand on the jab, okay? Now you can remember this. I'll show you something else. One of the things that especially when you're new, it's easy to get intimidated by taller fighters, okay? God, man, my toes killing me. Easy to get intimidated by taller fighters because you go in there, they're taller, they got long arms, or even guys just have long arms, but especially taller guys. And it just seems like they're hitting you from across the room. They're punching kind of down on you. It's really easy to kind of just start getting punched, and when he punches down on you, if you start making the mistake of looking up, you're leaning back and he's hitting you, and it's just a big nightmare. Now, you will think that you just cannot surmount the reach advantage, but I'll show you something. Let's say that the guy I'm fighting is shorter than me. Now I've got a 70-inch reach, and I'm about 5'10" and a half or something. My reach is about the same as my height, more or less. I don't have a super short reach, but I don't have a super long reach. I've got kind of just Joe average reach. But let's say that I'm fighting a guy who's shorter than me and a shorter reach, okay? Look what happens when I punch down on him. I punch down, even if I turn my heel, I punch down and it shortens my reach. And also, I'm punching down, I don't have power, okay? So this is where you may think he's outreaching you, but if you stick to your mechanics, you can actually sometimes outreach him and you can definitely outpower him. So let's say that he's here, look, when I was just right here and I'm punching down here, like I'm right here. So instead of, here's my jab if I do a straight jab. Because I don't know why I had those so low, but here's my jab if I do a straight jab, okay? Here it is. Here's my jab if I do a step. Here's my backhand if I do a step, right? It's even further, right? Now what happens if I punch down on the guy? Here's my jab, but if I take a step, I don't get that much advantage. If I take a step and punch down, I don't get that much advantage. It's a big difference. The other thing, I don't have the leverage. Now, what happens if I punch up at him, right? Here's my jab. I punched up with the step. Whoa. And here is my punch up with my back foot. Did you see that? So you can surprise tall guys by sticking to these key core mechanics, okay? Now here's another thing. I'll show you one other thing. You can surprise guys with a punch that will really surprise a lot of guys, especially when you're beginning, which is two backhands, two straight rights, okay? How's that? Well, watch my back foot. Let's say we're punching. God, man, this drives me crazy. We're punching, and then I throw a straight right. Now, a lot of you will pump the jab. You can do 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, whatever. You pump the jab, right? You're not necessarily getting that much power on those double jabs. Some guys will have more power, other guys will have less power, okay? But that straight right, if you twist that back foot, and then you can come back and you kind of half, you see my back, you don't come all the way back, but you come back a little. When you torque it back out, it's amazing how much power you can get on the second punch of that right. So bam, bam. But it's coming from your feet. If you'll see there's a video of Emmanuel Augustus, who was just an incredible fighter. And he's fighting, and he's just, in one thing, he's almost like a cat. Bam, 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 and he keeps hitting the guy. Now, you can't see his feet, but I guarantee you, because his mechanics were amazing. Maybe he wasn't a super hard punch or whatever, but he really did have amazing mechanics. That's why he could do all the crazy stuff he did. But you can surprise people with that right double punch, because you're really getting it off this heel twist. So it's like twist, half back, twist. So twist, half back, twist. It's amazing what you can do if you use your feet. If you use your feet, right? Last thing was, I'll show you this down on the heavy bag in the gazebo, if my toes let me. Boy, it really is going to be weird. You might want to try to fight southpaw once in a while. Now that's pretty advanced, and I certainly wouldn't recommend just trying to spar that way. But let's say if you're in a southpaw stance, right? Well, this is going to drive me crazy with this toe, but okay. You're in a southpaw stance. What you have to do is get in your head to practice the same types of movements, but get that, oh, that hurts my toe, to get that heel twist. So, bam, I'm shooting the jab, and then bam, and I've got to get my ear into my, over to my, don't do like that. Get your ear to the other side. So if I was here, remember, bam. If I'm here, same thing, but twist that heel out. Bam. If you practice the same mechanics, you will get power. Now, you might not get as much power, but you will get power. Okay, that's enough talking about these mechanics. Let's go down to the white trash gazebo, work on the heavy bag. Let's show you a little more, put it into practice. Forgive me if I look a little funny with my front foot, but that's okay. Let's go. Okay, what's up? We're out here in the white trash gazebo, and we're going to practice these right hands. Now, a couple of quick apologies. One is I'm going to make this quick because the mosquitoes are eating me alive, and I don't want to like catch dengue fever or malaria or whatever, COVID or something. Second thing is I'm not using my cool mic because I started to do this and I yanked the wireless mic off. So sorry for the video sound, but it doesn't matter. You'll get it. Now, we're going to practice this right hand, but with turning our ankle the way we talked about. Now, you want to get where you can throw that, commit that straight right hand, and you want to get your head over to your shoulder, but you got to turn that ankle so you can get full extension, get it straight, like what I showed you, right? I'm going to show you the difference here and what it will mean really when it comes to range. And you can probably tell with pop, but I'm gonna show you, because what happens is also a lot of guys when they're in their stances, especially if they start getting a little bit sideways with their front foot kind of sideways, which I know is popular, but okay, they get like that and they start throwing their right kind of like this, because they're not getting their ankle turned, they're not getting their hip turned, and their front foot is also going at a 45-degree angle, so it's keeping them from getting a more natural extension. So if your front foot's pointed a little bit more straight, then you'll find it's easier to do this. But let's talk about this. Once again, I've been setting up cameras and stuff, and I'm not that warmed up. But let's talk about what it looks like. Sometimes when you throw combos, if you're focusing on your hands, and people talk about turn over your punches, great, turn over your punches, but it's coming from your feet. When you're focusing on your hands, you'll be throwing your combos, and I'll give you some bad examples. So you're throwing your combos, and you're focusing on your hands, but if you misjudge the bag a little bit, because you're not really focusing on your feet, then you start doing these kind of, you're not straightening your punches at all. You're kind of going like that, right? And okay, you're not always going to get a perfectly straight punch, especially if you want to throw like a fast combo. You might be trying to get them off, so you're not necessarily going to be able to turn your feet the whole time. You're turning these off, but when you want to get that committed straight right, it's coming from your feet. if it comes from your feet, you'll turn over your punch, right? Now it's true, I showed you how to do, well, I've got gloves on now, that flat kind of palm strike, and that will help teach you to get your arms straight. But you still, if you focus on your feet, turning that back heel out, I know you can't see my feet right now, apologies for that too, but that will help you get your hands turned over. So I want to show you something here, and then show you a couple of quick drills just to practice. And actually, somebody already asked me this, you know, who am I for you? I'm not your coach. You know, what I am, I'm the guy, I'm the friend of yours that's trying to prepare you when you first want to start going to a boxing gym, because that's like an intimidating place. I know that. So get some basics in your head, because even when you go there, especially like the first year, it can be pretty intense. The coach is telling you a lot of things at once. A lot of it's going on in your head because you're under stress. So this is stuff that you can practice before you even go there, right? But okay, let's talk about this. Let's say that we're in our high guard position, right? We're in our high guard position, and we want to throw that right hand. But look at this now, and think about this, especially if you're a guy that's going against taller fighters, or you're gonna meet that guy with long arms one day, that long reach. If I'm sitting out here and I've got my jab, and look, if I'm right here and I'm not even touching the bag, if I just throw a committed jab like what we've talked about, I didn't take a step, and I could still reach him. If I take a little step, which would be a little bit more form correct, and throw like a Golovkin jab, and see, here I am, right here I am, I can back up, I'm gonna back up a little bit. Here I'm right here, and take that step, and easily I'm gonna reach him. Okay, if I want to really pop it, right, easily, and see how far I'm at. Then you say, well, how are you gonna reach him with the backhand? Okay, now watch this. When I turn that heel, now if I throw a punch, and sometimes you'll see older fighters, like really good pros, and you'll see they're starting to punch, and they're not turning that back foot at all. They're kind of just, and probably because they've got long reach anyway, because a lot of pros do, and they're turning their upper body. They've got good flexibility, which if you're new to boxing, you're probably not going to have. And if you're getting older, you lose it, right? But they're limiting their right hand punch, even though they're getting older and they're maybe, you know, kill the likes of you and me. But still, they're punching, and then they're throwing that right hand, and they're not turning over their foot, and so they can reach him. But if they got a guy who's got long reach and they're having trouble with him, they've got a problem. But watch this. When you turn over that back foot, you kick that heel out. Watch what happens. Here I am. I can barely, if with just a straight jab, I can't even hardly touch it from there. With a little step, bam, right? I can barely touch it. Okay. Watch this. What happens if I don't even take a step, but I turn that heel with my back hand. Okay. Here I am. Right. I'm not going to take a step. I'm just going to. It may seem like it on the camera. I'm not going to take a step. Bam! I still could reach it. Why? Because I turned all the way over. Now I didn't reach it full because I am pretty far back for me, right? But if I take a little step now and I turn that back foot over, watch this. Easy, I can reach him. So here I am with my jab. Here I am, and I've got that. Because I turn my back foot over, right? Well, I'm a little too close to show you now. But okay, here I am. So stop, right? Taking a step to get that Golovkin jab. But then watch this. I'm going to turn that foot over from the back foot. So here I am, here I am, here I am. Now it's a step. I can still reach farther than my jab. And one more time to illustrate that. If this is my maximum jab reach, right? Let's say it's right here, without taking a step, right? Just a good pull back and extension. Let's see if that's it, right? Okay. Kind of exaggerating here, but because I probably wouldn't throw a jab quite like that, but anyway, without a step. But if that's it, same position, turning my heel. Look how much my body goes forward, how much I'm not even trying to touch it. So turning my heel. Easily I can reach it. Easy. Now, how do we practice that? Well, one, it's true, when you throw a faster combo, you may not always get your heel turned. But you should practice, you don't have to practice them all that fast. You can practice them kind of like you'll see once in a while Alexander Usyk. He'll practice some combos just almost like complete, just for technical reasons. Bam, bam. He's really he's even stopping you know, of course you want to learn to get your hands back, but he's really technical to turn that back foot out, to make sure you don't get in that habit of throwing without turning your back foot out, your heel out, I mean, and your hips and stuff. And then you'll see, if you look at, say, the way Canelo fights, he'll throw pretty fast combos, but very exact combos from a distance. How do you do that? Well, you've got to get that extension. So if I'm doing a 1, 2, 3, I'm going to go ahead and let it throw. I'm going to get that heel turned out, and then I'm going to throw that hook, right? So from a high guard, so right, and even if I'm exaggerating a little bit, you see how much reach I got on that? Because when I turn that heel out, and then I throw the hook, I'm turning my whole body, and it makes me, because I'm coming back onto my flat heel on that hook, but it's turning out my front foot. Okay, so that back heel, kicking that out, that's a hugely important thing. Now, here's a drill. Obviously, you can sit there and just practice a straight right. You know, practice straight right, and just getting it. So I didn't even get my heel turned out all the way, so I didn't get full extension, get my hand turned over. So there you go. That was a little better. Now you can practice a straight right. You might throw some straight rights. Obviously, you will. But here's something you can practice, which you may find valuable, and it's one of those things that you learned 20 years ago, then you forget about, and then you see a fighter do it. Well, I was watching Virgil Ortiz fight. Man, he's some kind of a fighter, and he's so precise, and he's got such great technique. Fighting out of a high guard a lot of times too. And he'll do a drill, he'll do a move like this. And when I showed it to you in one of the other videos to practice. So, jab, so a step forward jab, bam, bounce back, and then a jab, straight right, okay? And that's a good one to practice, because you'll jab, come back, jab, straight right. But make sure when you do it, you turn that heel out on the straight right. So, right? Now, last thing. You need to practice getting that, throwing that straight right, not always with a step forward. It'll pay dues. You might have a guy that's jumping on you. You get that heel kicked out, get that straight on him, and really you can knock him down like that. So, don't always practice with a straight right with a big step forward. You can practice like this, the same drill. So here, come back, and then pop, pop, but you don't take a step forward on the back foot. I'll show you how it may feel strange at first, but a lot of things feel strange in boxing. So here we go. So all I did was I did step forward on the first jab, came back, did a jab without a big step, and then threw the straight right without a step at all. Okay. Now, something else you can keep in mind. You can catch somebody if you twist that back foot with a jab and then a quick double right. Now, why? How can you get that off? Because of your foot, not because of your hands. You're twisting that back heel out to get that right, and then you'll pop it, when your arm comes back, your heel will come back about halfway, and then you'll twist it again. You don't believe me? I'll show you. Watch this. Remember, I'm old, okay? So give me a break, but here I am. Right? Hitting guys with a jab. Hitting guys with a jab. But then, now, you see how much power I got on the second one even? Set up, dogs. I'm going to do that again, okay? So, here I am in my high guard. In my high guard, right? Now I'm going to throw that double right, okay? Well, so here it comes. So, now, how am I getting that? It's because of my heel twist. It's my heel twist. Now, here I am, I'm 53, and I'm able to get that off and get some reasonable pop on it. Some of you guys might blow me away, but it's a technical issue, right? It's not your arm strength or your muscles. I mean, a lot of you guys are going to be stronger than me. Now, that's one thing. Here's the other thing. If you want to practice southpaw stance and switch up once in a while, and this is too advanced for beginners, but a lot of guys are like, well, I can throw my back hand, my natural right hand, I can do that, but I'm in a southpaw stance, I can't do it. You know why you can't do it? Because you got to do the same thing. Hey, dogs, Benji, sorry. So, you got to practice the same fundamentals. So, your weight's on your back foot. When you throw it, you got to get twist that back heel out and get your arm into your thing. And watch, I'll show you. I don't practice southpaw a lot, but I can still do it to a point. So here I am. I'm in this stance. I'm throwing southpaw, right, jab, southpaw jab, right, and now I'm going to throw that back hand, which is my left hand, just like I would if it was my right hand. So here I am in the southpaw stance. Not too bad for a southpaw for a backhand. So here we go. Let's do a few combos in. So here I am. Straight right. Well, I probably shouldn't. Let's keep it simple. So how about that? That same drill, you see? Because I twisted it out. I got something on it. It's not as good as this backhand, right? But it's the same mechanics. Same mechanics. You practice the same mechanics, it will be not that unnatural. So here I am, right-handed, fighting, right? Oh, I switched on it. Here I am. It works because I'm doing the same mechanics with the other side. Okay. So, right? But the key is, you can't see it, the key is getting that back heel turn. Okay. I think I hammered home that point ad nauseum. Hope you like it. Like, subscribe. I'll talk to you soon. We're going to talk now in the future also about pivots, but there are different kinds of pivots. There are pivots. There are the bumps that we talked about. There are pivots off your back foot. There are lots of different kinds of pivots, and people think, oh, pivot, I know how to pivot. You probably, maybe you do, but these are some things that maybe you don't, and we can go through them. And it also, some of these little tricks you see like Lomachenko do, at first they're awkward, but I'll show you some drills you can practice, and you can start practicing these things, and if you get good enough, maybe you'll be the next Lomachenko. I don't know. But talk to you soon. Looking forward to it. Like, subscribe, and bye-bye.